Hello, this is Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 here to preview and predict Kentucky's baseball series with South Carolina. This is a Friday to Saturday series, Friday to Sunday series. Before we get into our preview, I want to let you know BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, the NBA, and NHL playoffs. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on all the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Kentucky had been one of the hottest teams in the country until last weekend when the Cats were taken down at home by Tennessee, 2-3. And I'm not going to say an upset because both teams are really good, but one we didn't know how it was going to go. Kentucky had been invincible just about anywhere. Anyway, finally lost a series for the first time since Kennesaw State back in the weekend preceding the start of conference play. As for South Carolina, the Gamecocks have had a pretty tough run since a sweep of Vanderbilt back about 4 weekends ago, lost a series at Alabama, lost a home series to Texas A&M, which everybody's losing to right now. Took 2 out of 3 at Florida, and then came home and lost 2 out of 3 to Arkansas. So the last 2 times the Gamecocks have been at home, the series has not gone their way. However, they also lost to what are probably the best 2 teams in the country in Texas A&M and Arkansas. All right, let's talk about the matchup and looking at it, hitting versus pitching. South Carolina pitching has been a little unpredictable. You never know who the rotation guys are going to be. I'm going to presume, and I'm doing this on Tuesday afternoon. And by the way, Carolina does not have a midweek game, nor does Kentucky. I'm going to guess that if they line up like last week, they'll go Roman Kimball, Eli Jones, and Dylan Eskew. Kimball, I don't know about as much, but Jones has been a stalwart in their rotation, has had a nice year for them with a 3.47 ERA. And Eskew has been a guy who, behind Jones, I believe is second on the team in innings pitched. So you would figure he's going to have a big role somewhere, whether that's the 3 spot, the 1 spot, or somewhere even in bulk relief if they choose to go there. Carolina's also got a pretty decent bullpen, probably not one that gets a lot of headlines, but Tyler Pitzer, freshman righty, who's been in the rotation, has done some good things at times. Eddie Copper's been a pretty durable righty who's had a nice season for them. Garrett Gainey, the lefty out of Liberty, one of their better bullpen arms. Chris Veach, who seems like he's been there a while, and a little bit of a tricky arm angle, the righty. Ty Good has thrown a lot of innings for South Carolina. Got an ERA, I believe, under 3. Matthew Becker, lefty, who started for them at times. Not a lot of pitching staff. This is not a pitching staff that gets talked about a lot, but I'm looking. These are a lot of arms that have pitched some innings in the SEC and have been pretty good this year. So don't sleep on the South Carolina pitching staff. As for Kentucky's hitting, this is the team that has led the league in runs scored in league play, and they've only got, in an era where guys are hitting home runs left and right, one guy, double-digit home runs. That's Ryan Nicholson, the lefty transfer from Cincinnati, their first baseman, who's been one of their 2 best offensive players, along with lefty Ryan Waldschmidt, the returning player from last year. Kentucky hits the portal hard, but the lineup, Burks, Petre, Grant Smith, Waldschmidt, Nolan McCarty, McCoy, all returnees from last year. They added Nick Lopez, the DH transfer, and a switch hitter from Southern Cal. He's been one of the best 3 hitters on the team, along with Nicholson and Waldschmidt. This is just a team that up and down the lineup, after those 3 guys, not a lot of superstar power there, but not an easy out in the lineup either. A lot of strikeout rates under 20%, a lot of high walk rates. Nicholson and Petre, 14%. Mitchell Daly, 18%. Waldschmidt, 17%. McCoy, 13%. You got to pitch to these guys. They're going to work counts and make pitching staffs work really hard, and they're also going to steal a lot of bases. Waldschmidt stolen 14. Burks has stolen 14. Petre stolen 19, and also a team, by the way, that defends its position really well. Kentucky just doesn't beat itself for the most part. And the lineup certainly part of that. This lineup is just tough outs everywhere. South Carolina really is a very right-handed heavy staff. Kentucky has got a couple of lefties in Nicholson and Petre. McCoy and Lopez are switch hitters. So a little bit right-handed heavy, but also you could go four lefties if you need to. And this is the staff that is predominantly right-handed for South Carolina. Among their key guys, it will probably see only Gainey and Becker are lefties, although those are, albeit lefties, who can go a long time. All right, let's turn it around and talk about Kentucky's pitching. This is a staff that had just been cruising along this year. Trey Poozer, Dominic Neiman, Mason Moore, not a flashy staff, but probably a top 5 staff in America based on outcomes so far this year. Those guys are righty, lefty, righty. Their bullpen is very right-handed heavy, but it's not often that you see starting pitchers who can go into the 8th inning, and Kentucky's got 3 of those in the aforementioned rotation. And Tennessee hit these guys last weekend, though. Moore had a rough start. Neiman, I don't think, got an out. That has been uncharacteristic. So we'll see if Kentucky's confidence got a little shaken last weekend by what Tennessee did to it. The bullpen, really good. Johnny Hummel, their transfer from Erskine, has been pretty much unhittable so far. He's got a 39% strikeout rate and an ERA of 1.25. He's been outstanding, 21 2/3 innings. Behind them, they've got a lot of guys that have pitched really well. Lefty Evan Byers, righty Robert Hogan, righty Cameron O'Brien. Hogan and O'Brien transfers from Texas A&M and Campbell, guys with ERAs under 3. Jackson Nove, ERA just over 3, a lefty returnee. They've also got some other arms. Travis Smith got roughed up a little bit, I think, last weekend, but he's thrown a lot of innings for them, gives them some versatility there. I think this is a really good pitching staff. It is not a standout pitching staff, but here's what Kentucky does. And this is what South Carolina's lineup does. They walk a ton. I think they lead the conference in walks and probably one of the top teams in country at walks. Free pass rate. This is walks plus hit batsmen. This is what Kentucky does really well, along with keeping the ball in the park. Free pass rates, Poozer 9%, Neiman 9%, Hummel 9%, Byers 9%. A couple other guys in those teen ranges. So a little higher walk and free pass rates there. But the guys that pitch the bulk of the innings just don't walk a lot of guys. They also don't give up home runs. There's not a guy on the staff with a home run rate over 4%, which is a rare sight in this day and age of college baseball. Now for Carolina's lineup, I don't know what to think of these guys because I think there's better baseball in there for Carolina. I just looked at this team coming back from last year. Cole Messina, Gavin Cassis had great years for them last year. Of course, everybody knows about Ethan Petrie. Will Tippett has done some good things. You just up and down the lineup when South Carolina was really playing well a year ago and healthy, these guys were nightmares to pitch to. Cassis has really had a down year compared to a year ago. Talmadge LaCroix's been good, not great. Dylan Brewer, who I don't know if he's injured. He didn't play last weekend, or at least I think if he played, he had like 1 at bat. So I don't know what the deal is there, but this is a team that's got a bench. They got Blake Jackson, the lefty Charlotte transfer. They got Tyler Causey at DH. He transferred from North Carolina as kind of an interesting player. But this is not a team that hit home runs the way it did a year ago. So far, Petrie with 15, Messina at 10. I would have thought that you saw the home run numbers for this team higher than they've been, but that's not been the case. Now, what they do is they walk a ton. Walk rates, Messina 18%, LaCroix 18%, Tippett 18%, Kennedy Jones 19%, Petrie 19%, Causey 18%. Up and down the lineup, these guys all walk at a double-figure rate, but that's the one thing Kentucky doesn't do is give up walks. This is really a confusing series to figure out because on one hand, I keep waiting for Carolina's lineup to play a little bit better, and it takes a lot of walks, but that's just not what Kentucky does. It doesn't put you on base. It doesn't give up home runs, although it did give up several to Tennessee last weekend. The Vols just do that to teams. Kentucky's 13-2 on the road. Now, you can look at the series, and it's not the cream of the crop that they played. Those road series have been USC Upstate, Missouri, Ole Miss, and Auburn. The latter three, probably the bottom three teams in the conference. But Nick Mingione has taken his team on the road a lot the last couple of years, even dating back to last season. It feels like this is the team that doesn't really get fazed by venue. They did lose their super regional series last year to LSU and Baton Rouge, but hey, everybody was losing to LSU and Baton Rouge a year ago. And of course, LSU, the eventual national champs. I'm going to tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really confident, 1 being not confident at all, I'm going to give you my level of confidence on this pick at about somewhere between a 1 and a 2. I'm going to take Kentucky to win the series because it's one on the road, but I believe there's better baseball in here for South Carolina than we've seen. I think the fact that they can manufacture some runs in some different ways, as is, still a good lineup. If they ever start hitting home runs like they can, look out. They're really dangerous. I'm going to go Kentucky just because I trust Kentucky more than I do South Carolina right now, just based on it being able to win anywhere and everywhere. And again, South Carolina's home losses have been to some great teams so far, as we noted. I'm going to pick Kentucky, but I'm going to pick the Cats very reluctantly because I'm really big on South Carolina. And I think right now, both teams, if you picked the tournament field today, Kentucky would be a national seed, and I think Florida would certainly be in that hosting, or excuse me, I think South Carolina would certainly be in that hosting conversation, and a team that I can make a case that would deserve a hosting bid right now, if you ask me. Anyway, two really good teams. One of the more interesting matchups in the league we'll see all year because they just do different things. We'll be here to wrap it up after the series is over, so be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'm Chris Lee. This is Southeastern 14 presented by Bet Online.